Right. Hello, everyone. Today is November 29th, and I'm Orlin Vasilev, and I'm the community manager for Velero. That's official community meeting, so please follow the code of conduct and practically just be nice to each other. I've added the link to the meeting minutes in the chat. I'm gonna send it once again if someone else wants to add themselves. With that, I'm gonna share what we have for today. All right, I can see some topics, so let's go from last added. Scott.
Yeah, just briefly, just going to mention 110 was released earlier this morning, so that is now out there. And I also noticed 194 RC.2 was put out as well, so release candidate for another update to the 19 series.
Yep.
And for myself in particular, again, the item action plugin design that we talked about last time still needs a final review on that. I did make some updates based on some API suggested changes from some other maintainers. And I did also, the past week, updated the individual plugin API v2 design documents to reflect that operation progress struct change as well. I think we're still hoping to get this merged sometime in the next week. That once that's design is merged and those plugin API v2 design docs are merged, then I can actually get started in submitting implementation PRs for all this, which I hope to get going in early December. So
Nice, and congratulations on 110. Yeah. Was that like coordinated release? Everything was fine with the release?
I wasn't actually involved in the final bits of it. I just was noticing, kind of checking the email this morning. You know, the RC2 was out last week. I think RC.2 was released just after the community meeting last week. And you know, the team in Beijing, you know, was continuing to test that, and so I'm not sure if I think there were no additional changes made to the RC2, so but I haven't confirmed that. I know usually if there's any changes to a release candidate, then there's another release candidate out, and then when we finally get a release candidate that passes all the tests and there are no changes, then the release goes out with the exact same image. But you know, as in, I actually was not directly involved in this final release process. I just noticed that it was released, and also the associated plugins. I just wanted to make note of that here, that this release did make it out the door today.
All right. I'm asking for one particular reason. We discussed it last time that we have to work on the release kind of management, documenting into the governance. And if that release was surprised from anyone from the core maintainers and core contributors?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. There was no surprise there. I see what you're getting at there now. You know, we've communication up to now has still been, you know, the hope is to get this out, you know, end of November or beginning of December at the latest. And again, we had the second release candidate out last Wednesday. So, you know, I was kind of hoping it would be out in our first part of this week. So I guess it would have been more of a surprise if it didn't come out this week. So that was good.
Nice. All right. I'm going to work on the notifications towards all the social places that we do normally then. Okay. I have one for today just to discuss briefly. 27th is like holiday, so I suppose we won't have a meeting at that date. But many folks are going to take some days off before that. So are we going to skip 20th as well? It's like in the other time zone. How are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, so certainly the 27th is a holiday for us at Red Hat as well. I think the 20th is not officially a holiday, but again, like you said, a lot of people are out. I would say if the majority of the team in Beijing is going to be working that day, maybe it makes sense to have it anyway. But you know, certainly from my point of view, if we don't have it that week, I don't think anything essential is going to be discussed there.
Okay.
That would be fine. So I guess I'm kind of neutral on that. If they have a meeting, I'll probably join it, but if there's no meeting, that's fine on the 20th.
Okay, I'm going to leave that then Beijing team to discuss that.
But we should
rest.
definitely make the call on the 27th and not schedule the meeting there, because you're not going to be here. I'm not going to be here. I don't think anybody at Red Hat's going to be here. So.
Yeah, 27 is off, right? I just wanted to mention it. Okay. Cool. I don't have anything as of now. Anything else on this one? I can see Anstro. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name.
That's right. Yeah, so I just wanted to discuss on this particular PR I had raised. On the chat thread, we had discussions with Shubham and Black Piglet. I'm not sure about his name, but so basically as of today, right, like we have the field for snapshot volumes, which we send in our backup CRs. And in restore, we have restore PVs. Those two flags we have. But if you see the CSI plugin, right, the CSI plugin honors the snapshot volume sent in the backup payload. But during restore, the restore PVs flag is not honored. So even if you say restore PVs is false, the CSI plugin by default always does a restore of the PVs. Like there's no way to stop it using that flag. So basically this is just to bring parity in the API. Like if during backup, the customer, like if a user can choose if they want to backup PVs or not backup. Similarly, during restore, the user should have an option to say, I don't want to restore PVs. Which is not possible as of today in the CSI plugin. So on this chat, like I said, we discussed with Shubham and Black Piglet, but we could not come to a conclusion. So I like kind of joined this call to see if we can come to some conclusion around this particular PR or issue.
Yeah, and unfortunately, neither of them are on this call, which is kind of going to make it hard to have a conclusion. Just because the two people that have been most weighing in so far are not available right now. I've seen this PR. I kind of saw the comments. I really haven't done a lot of thinking about it in detail yet. I think this might be a good discussion topic to bring up at one of the meetings, the Beijing time zone meetings. Unfortunately, Shubham is also out the next couple of weeks. I don't think he will be back next Tuesday when we have that meeting with the Beijing maintainers. So I think we need to continue this. I don't think the people that need, the people that kind of need to weigh in are available on the call today. So I think we should probably bring this up in a future meeting.
I'm going to transfer.
But I agree. We need to work through this and figure it out, and decide is this solution appropriate as is, and if not, then we need to come up with another, some way of meeting the goal.
Yeah. So how would you suggest like I take this forward? Like, should we wait for the next meeting, or do you want to discuss this over chat with these folks? Because I'm kind of new to the community. I'm trying to see what processes you folks follow.
So ordinarily, I'd say next week would be the perfect time to bring it up. I just know that Shubham is out for the next week. I think he returns on the 10th of December. It might be worth bringing up. Say once he's back on Slack, we could kind of initiate a discussion on Slack to see if anyone has any opinions to weigh in there. And if that doesn't really go anywhere, maybe at a future meeting, bring it up again. 110 just got released today, so this is, in any case, this is something we're talking about in the 111 time period. So the difference between working it out today versus in a couple of weeks is not going to really affect when it would make it in a release. So I think in that sense, it's not a critical time wise, but I do agree with you that we need to resolve this issue and figure out the right answer. I just don't think we're people here to decide that today.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, Anshu, just for background and context, why is this parity important to you?
So we are depending on the CSI plugin, and like I said, right, as of right now, even if the restore PVs flag, I just want a way which is like proper API level support, which says if I don't want to restore a PV, the CSI plugin should not kind of do it, right? Like it just I want that to be more accurate. It was a surprise for us as well when we were trying to use it. We went through a bunch of debugging why, like, even if when I'm saying restore PVs is false, it's not working. And at the end, we kind of figure out this is a missing piece. So it's
What's
like
the,
not very thing specific,
Yeah.
but it's like a very big miss which I felt in the code. So,
No, I also wonder. I haven't looked into this again, this aspect yet, but on the Restic side of things, if you're using Restic for your PV backup and restore, I suspect that this flag is not necessarily used there either. But I could be wrong again because I haven't looked into it. Have you looked at the Restic side? In other words, is this just native snapshots that do this now, or is it snapshots and Restic, and the only thing missing is CSI?
Restic, I'm not aware.
Okay.
I'm not aware of
That's
Restic,
probably
but
another factor to look into, because if Restic does it and CSI is the only one missing it, that makes it clear that we should do the same thing here too.
yeah.
But if Restic doesn't do it and as native snapshots does
Mhm.
and CSI does it, now we have three things and only one of them is doing it. Then that question comes up again. I guess, and even setting aside what the intent was when this was created, originally, I guess we need to look at actual real world use cases, and you got one here where that this change makes sense for. I guess we should identify, are there use cases where your change is not relevant, but what is done now is desirable, for example. And if we can't come up with any, again, that's another reason to suggest this change. But if there's a use case that your change is going to break, then we need to keep that in mind as well. But I just don't know what those are. I think if we need to take a step back and say, what is the real requirement here? What's needed, and what are the various use cases that we're trying to solve? To make sure that if we're going to make a change to fix your use case, we're not breaking a use case for someone else that is depending on the current functionality.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of what the use case is versus like, hey, we just want feature parity or consistency. So yeah.
Just a very basic use case I said, right? Like if I want to do a restore, but I don't want to restore PVs in the CSI plugin, there's no way to do that as an API. I can go and manually try to figure out, should I block restore of the PVC API group or something like that? But again, right, that figure out, what should I really block? Should I block volume snapshot content? Should I block PVC? Should I block PV? That is not trivial. So it's a very basic use case. I just don't want to restore PVs during restore using CSI plugin. And to support that, there's no trivial solution. So,
yeah, and the other factor here is that this flag, when it was created, there was no CSI plugin, and so it wasn't a relevant decision. That's why I'm saying let's look at what where is Restic in this? Does this flag affect Restic use? Because that might inform the use cases, to figure out what this was intended for as well. And again, kind of help us figure out whether this is.
Scott, even before we go to Restic, right? If you, Olin, can you go to the previous page where we were going through the discussion? If you see, right, if this piece of code is already honoring the snapshot volumes flag, then like it's already there, right? The snapshot volumes and restore PVs are in combination in some sense. If it is honoring one, then it should naturally honor the other one, right? If you go to can you go slightly below? We have some code snippets at the bottom. Oh, low. Yeah, this link that I've put, right? Where did it go? Yeah, this code snippet that I've put, code snippet of dot snapshot volumes. This is already honored in the CSI plugin. So all I'm saying is, if this one flag you're supporting and the other you're not supporting, it's not correct, right? Like, because even the first one was built for cloud scenarios, like the cloud plugin scenarios.
Yeah.
So Restic, Restic is another conversation we can have, but like I'm just saying, if you have one, then have the other by natural thing, right? Or otherwise just remove this first one as well. We can in that case even remove snapshot volume flag. So that is my point here.
Yeah, so I think the question relating to that, then I think we do need to answer, and the answer may be simple, that's not relevant, but is there a use case where we want what's there now? In other words, does the change you're proposing, is there any case that breaks for someone? And the answer may be no. If the answer is no, then I think this is an easier thing to say, hey, we just need to make this, consistent. But if there's a situation where that breaks a use case, then we need to come up with something else. And I just don't know off the top of my head whether there is even a use case. I can't think of anything obvious right now. But again, I think we should just make sure that we answer that question to make sure that,
Yep.
someone doesn't get this update and surprise, this isn't working for me anymore because I was relying on that
Yeah.
particular aspect of functionality.
Mhm.
with
And
CSI.
yeah, and a one fix for that, what we can do is basically the nature of that flag, right? If the flag, let's say for example, the existing person who's using it is setting is at empty or true, then basically empty we can map to true, so that any existing use cases where they're not using the flag, it does not break. But for false, they need to explicitly kind of pass it. Now, if some user comes and says we had set it to false, we were still expecting it to restore, and you break it, like no, that might not be valid, right? I mean, we can discuss more in depth when you folks get a chance to go through the PR perhaps, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
just one workaround we can think of which does not break any user scenario. Map null to true, that we can do so that no existing scenario is broken.
Yeah, and again, this is starting into the weeds, so I just want to make a quick comment, and then we can move on. But that will depend on whether we're currently doing. I don't, if it's a Boolean that's as a pointer, like we, for example, some of ours are that way, then you can do that. Sometimes it's a straight up Boolean where empty is the same as false, and there's really Kubernetes doesn't distinguish the two. Again, I haven't looked at this in detail yet, so but that's a detail we can dig into once we figure out the use cases first.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I just see here that I guess snapshot volumes is a. Oh no, it is bullhorn. Okay, got it. Yeah, so the null is different than false here. So we have that option too once we start digging into possible solutions.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, folks. Thanks for touching this.
Hey, Scott, do you think it makes sense to assign Black Piglet to this one for review, or?
Yeah, I mean, he's already commented on it. I think it would make sense
Yeah.
to have him look at it again. As I said, and certainly he's now that 110 is out, and that's another thing, by the way. I think some of these things hadn't been looked at as much over the last couple of weeks because the team's been kind of focusing on getting 110 tested and out the door, and that's happened now. So I think there'll be some more free time now to sort of go back to some of these things like this, and then might assign PR as well.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, thanks, folks, for discussing this. Nothing else.
All right. Thank you. If nothing else, I think we can drop for today. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and talk to you next time. By the way, Anshu, I'm gonna add that thing to the upcoming meeting. So our folks from Beijing that needs to be to review it, they can have it in their agenda for next time.
Okay. Because the Beijing meeting, I might not be able to join. It's like 2-3 a.m. in my time zone.
Yep. I'm just going to point them out that that needs their attention. If
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that would be.
Yep.
That would be. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone,
Thanks,
and talk to you next time. Yep.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.